Welcome back. So today I want to talk about my own progress. I have EDS, hypermobility, etc. As far as it goes, I have a relatively mild case, thankfully. Part of the hypermobility is my footprint always looked like a stamp when I would get out of a pool. No arch, just flatness. This is called Pes Planus, and it tends to lead to an inversion or a leaning in of the foot. And that is going to exacerbate, especially in someone who's hypermobile because of the loose ligaments, it's going to exacerbate the anterior pelvic tilt. The anterior pelvic tilt is going to lead to an excessive curve in the low back, as well as a kyphotic or mid-back curve that goes forward, and then a forward head posture with an excessive curvature in the neck. Over time, this leads to low back and neck tension that can be addressed, but generally is sort of just something we have to live with. So I've taken these things that I'm supposed to live with, and I've devoted my life to hunting down the solutions. The work I do on people tends to be like that. Even before I realized and made all of these connections, that's what I do. So in terms of the pes planus, or the collapsed arches, or the flat feet as we might call it, the conventional exercises that are given, let's give something like toe spacers or crunching the toes, are really not going to be super effective. I've tried them. What I have done was working on toe mobility and independent toe articulation. What that means is, and this is very easy for you to do at home, being able to move your toes the way that I'm moving my fingers, being able to control the toes. This begins to activate and unlock the muscles in the lower leg. There is going to be a certain degree of what we would call cramping. That's totally normal. Obviously, I would not recommend taking it too far. And this is not medical advice. If you have not or are not working with a physician and you have any underlying issues, definitely talk to your physician before beginning this. Find one, or find someone who you can work with. It helps. Not necessary for some people, but necessary for others. I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. So this entire pes planus translates into what's called upper and lower crust syndrome. At least in me it has. So the rib flare is a tendency for my ribs at this area to stick out. And that's pretty common among a lot of people. And I've been working using also the techniques that I've learned in Connor Harris's biomechanics course, as well as his foot and lower extremity course. I've also been applying these to my patients. The changes are remarkable. I'm walking in a way that I never had before. I feel the weight very well distributed. I feel so much more grounded and connected when I'm walking. Furthermore, there's this one particular shirt that I have, and I wore it yesterday. Now, this shirt is not very stretch, and I love the shirt, but I can't wear it because where my ribs had a tendency to flare, it would sort of push the buttons, and it looked kind of ridiculous. Now, I have lost a couple of pounds recently, but not that much. When I wore the shirt yesterday, it was fine. Meaning, as I'm doing this work, I've also the other day did some work that I will post here on reactivating the obliques, which will help to balance the rib flare. And that releases the muscles in the mid-back that on most of us tend to be tender and chronically tight. So I did that in conjunction with this postural work that I'm doing. So it's holding a lot better because the hips are aligning better. My femurs, which on the right side in particular had a tendency to protrude slightly. So my upper leg bone would protrude slightly from the hip joint because of the way it was oriented, is now sitting correctly. So the hips are sitting more correctly. The low back is sitting more correctly. The rib flare is becoming less. All of this is building from the ground up, because for those of us that are hypermobile, we have to consciously rebuild our posture in a way that our body will hold it comfortably and safely. I will be posting a couple of videos down the road concerning this, but for the moment, it's a wonderful idea. Articulate your toes. Learn how to control every one of them. Yes, you can do it. Start small because it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world if you've never done it. It's like learning a completely new skill. But this is your body. This is part of your consciousness. This ties into the muscles that run the entire length of the body, including to your neck and to your face. This will definitely, over time, help your life to completely shift. How do I know? Because I'm doing it and I'm applying it to the patients that I'm working with, and the results are very pleasing. Well, it was great catching up with you. Have a wonderful day.